We've been asked the question, an individual with Tourette syndrome, what makes them like that? Keep watching to learn more. So Tourette syndrome, in case you're not aware, Tourette syndrome is basically where someone's body makes involuntary movements. Or in the case of a young boy that I knew, he would not only make the movement, but spew a whole bunch of curse words. And when the episode ended, he would go back to normal. So, honey.
Yes, my beautiful wife.
What is the cause for someone being diagnosed with something like Tourette syndrome?
Wow, as you're emphasizing.
I want to make sure it's very clear.
Well, I don't want to sound like a licensed medical doctor, because I'm not a medical doctor, right? So let's start by putting that there.
Right, well, I'm asking from the spiritual standpoint, not from a medical standpoint.
I know, but I just want to put that part in there.
Okay.
For those of you that might not be aware, yes, I kind of attended medical school, and that's the term kind of because I dropped out. So when it comes to the medical aspect, my opinion doesn't really count. So, however, from our experience, I don't recall us ever working with someone diagnosed with Tourette syndrome.
Correct, I don't.
All the years we've been working with individuals, right?
Right, I don't think we've ever had anyone.
But I know that we've worked with individuals diagnosed as bipolar and other type of syndromes. Right. So I also want to put that disclosure there. Based on our experience with the individuals that we've worked with the other diagnoses, in many cases, what we have seen is that there are attachments in almost every case, possessions that cause these things. Especially if the person, like this individual, the one you're talking about, the little boy, is cursing. That alone should tell you that there's something else besides just the disease that's occurring, right?
Right.
Now, just to make it clear, also from our experience, normally a disease, and it's called like dis-ease, as in, and it's causing uneasiness for someone. That occurs because of something in the spiritual realm, and normally attachments or possessions. We also know that there are other things that can cause them. For example, geopathic stress, which is a very common thing that causes challenges for individuals. If you don't know what that is, we have videos on that. We record videos on that.
Yes.
And because of the geopathic stress, then the frequency is lowered because everything is energy, and then other things can come in and get attached to these individuals. Any disease and condition, syndrome, whatever you call it, illness, occurs because of some imbalance in energy. In the physical world, or because of Western medicine, they try to put a label on it, but they put a label on it so that there's common understanding or common communication. So when one person says Tourette syndrome, the other person has a clear understanding as to what the individual is referring to. In the spiritual realm, it's nothing but energy. You know, there's no such thing as Tourette syndrome or bipolar individual. It's just, okay, here's what's causing this, so let's take care of this, and the moment we do that, the person is fine. And we've seen that. We know we have examples of those where individuals don't want to come out, right? They're afraid of the dark or whatever it might be, and once work is done, then they're fine. They're dealing with people, they're out in society, and they feel good about themselves. So it goes back to just energy itself. I don't know if that's clear in any way. I'm probably just one general.
Well, so basically, there are a couple different reasons why someone might be diagnosed with a syndrome like that. One being it could be from geopathic stress or some kind of imbalance around the individual.
Now again, we're talking from the spiritual
From
standpoint.
the spiritual standpoint,
Right.
from the spiritual standpoint, or some kind of imbalance in their physical area around them.
That's correct.
And then the other thing, well, which that would lower their frequency, which would allow there to be the second thing, which would be the spirit attachments and possessions.
That's correct.
Which is what I thought about as you got more into this work, and I thought about this young boy when this question came up, and I was like, oh man, that boy had a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Possibly, right?
Right.
We never say for sure, but we don't know.
Right,
Have
right.
to
It was
check.
just my assumption, knowing his condition, because he had diagnosed with more than just Tourette syndrome. He had other physical challenges too.
Okay.
So to me, I was like, oh, if I knew where that kid was, and you know, maybe we could help him. But anyway, so that sounds like it could be something that really is stemming from something physical, or these attachments and possessions.
You know, when you say stemming from something physical, what are you referring to?
Like maybe like with the geopathic stress, maybe there is just a lot of, you know, cell radiation around their house or something, and that's what's affecting them physically.
You said cell radiation?
Right, like cell phone towers.
Oh, so it's not cell radiation. That's
Okay, cell phone tower radiation,
Right.
to be
Just radiation,
specific.
right.
Just radiation. So,
Or it could be from radiation from the earth. You know, that's the geopathic stress. Remember, cell phone tower radiation is not geopathic stress.
oh, that's right.
Okay, that's different. That's radiation. Geopathic stress always comes from the earth, from beneath the earth.
Okay,
So right, there's a difference between those two.
so that's like the water that ran under where I was sleeping and causing all the challenges physically for me.
That's correct.
Got it.
Oh, that's right. You experienced that.
Yes, I experienced that one.
You could share that story. How about
Well,
that?
I didn't get any kind of diagnosis of syndromes or
I know,
anything.
but
the point is, where we had our bed situated in our room, I was sleeping over like a water vein that went underground. And it would go right where my head and shoulders would be. And I would wake up every morning with a lot of muscle tension and pain and headaches, really bad headaches. And we were having a challenge figuring out why until my husband was told, check geopathic stress. And that's when we found out, there's water running under our home here. So my husband was guided on what to do to get that neutralized, and everything's fine now.
And that was something I was just being trained on, as a matter of fact, right? So we didn't know anything about that. That's why there's electromagnetic radiation, which is not from the earth, but like the outlets, things like that. You
Oh,
also
right.
had that one, remember, with your feet.
Yes, because my husband had not been told what the challenge was with my neck and shoulders, except for this water vein. He wasn't, he was being guided as to how to take care of it, but it was taking a while. So we moved the bed across the room, and my feet were near the wall where there happened to be an outlet. And I would wake up and my feet would be cramping, and I'm like, why are my feet cramping? Now my shoulders and neck are feeling better, and my head, no more headaches, but now my feet are cramping. What's going on? And that's when my husband was guided to check for the radiation in the walls. And
Electromagnetic radiation. Right?
Electromagnetic radiation. And that's when we're like, okay, so then we ended up moving the bed to the middle of the room until he got it all sorted out, but it was interesting.
Right. But now we know how to neutralize those things.
Right.
At that time, I didn't know how to do that, so we just moved things around.
Yep, that was when he was going through his discovery, and now you learn how to figure out how to neutralize that.
But the point is this, that if you had gone to a doctor, we don't know what they would have told you. They probably, who knows what they would have said.
Well, when I explained it to someone that we know, they told me, oh, that's restless leg syndrome. You should go get this medication for it.
So see, there's a label for that too.
There
And that's
is.
the thing. That's the point I'd like to make. That Western medicine, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way,
Right.
in its attempt to explain everything, right? Because as a scientist, I've been there. Whatever you experience, you want to be able to explain. And so there's an explanation, and then there's a label given to it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, okay? Because just like you were told by probably one of our doctor friends, right? Was it or no? One of
No,
our doctor
no,
friends?
someone closer to us.
Oh, okay. It wasn't me, so
It was a family member.
a family member.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And they're not a doctor.
Nope. But someone who was taking medication for leg issues.
Oh, okay. Got it. I don't know who that is, but anyway, the point is they're taking medication for something that's sounded familiar.
Yes.
So of course they do that in their attempt to help.
Mm-hmm.
They'd already been given that diagnosis, see, that restless, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have gone and gotten the medication. But instead, we just moved the bed around and then you were fine.
Yes.
That's the point of what I'm making here. Or that's the point I'm making here in that, okay, a label is given, you can go and get the medication or find out what the root cause is. In many physical diseases or illnesses that are affecting the physical body, there is something, some energy that's causing it. And if you can recognize that energy source, then that can be taken care of. Now, there are also situations where people choose, that's why we talk about the karma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people choose to be born into this lifetime, whatever lifetime they happen to be in, with a certain condition or some experience that they have chosen to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So that could also be why the Tourette syndrome or someone displaying bipolar,
Right.
what do we call it, bipolar what?
Disorder.
Right?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Symptoms or
Any
knows what
kind
else?
of, right.
Any kind of disease or illness.
Mm-hmm.
They could have chosen to come into the world that way. That doesn't mean that it can't be healed, by the way. And that's where I'm headed with this. Now, just because someone tells you it's karmic doesn't mean that it has to stay that way.
Right.
That can be adjusted. And that's something you learn here at One Night Division, right? We literally had one individual that we worked with where we're working with this individual, we're going to see some progress, not great progress, right? But we're going to see some progress. He was paralyzed, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he went and talked to his priest, a Catholic priest, and we're Catholics, so I always specify that so people know we're not putting down the Catholic Church.
Right.
It's just what happened.
Right.
This is the fact. And the priest told him not to deal with us because more than likely we're dealing with the dark forces.
Mm-hmm.
And that in his case, God is using him as an example to other people. And that's why he's paralyzed. And it's okay to stay that way. Well, see, I don't agree with that. Because from what the Ascended Masters have taught us, God doesn't use any of us as an example in a negative way. It just doesn't do that. However, in order for us to improve, or for that condition to improve, we have to make the conscious choice, because we have free will, right, to release that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've worked with many individuals where they've done that and things have been fine. Then we have individuals that keep telling us things like, I know I'm supposed to, but I can't.
Right.
I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't. Well, the moment you think that way, then the condition stays the same because you're holding on to it. Right? So as much as the doctors could do work on that situation, we can facilitate work from here in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as the individual is holding on to that because they feel that they can't let it go, then it stays there. And it's important to understand that, whether it's Tourette's
syndrome.
You say, what is it?
Tourette's syndrome.
Tourette's syndrome, or bipolar disorder,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be
Any kind
an
of disease.
ankle that just, like, let's say you have a leg that's in constant pain,
Uh-huh.
right? You maybe they have a label for that, but maybe it's just, you might just say it's always in pain.
Right.
Now, where I come from, they used to tell us that once you get an injury, a really bad injury,
Mm-hmm.
that it never really heals because when the weather changes, the change in weather affects that injury. Have you heard that?
Oh, yes. I
Oh.
know people who will tell me
In
that.
America?
Oh, I know it's going to rain today because my elbow's hurting from an old tennis injury.
Oh,
Really?
in America they do that then.
Oh,
I thought it was
yes.
just where I came from.
Oh, no. I
So,
think
see-
that's everywhere.
So people actually believe that. So what does that tell you? They haven't let go of that. As long as they don't let go, then it will stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So going back to your question, what could cause these things? Well, also what you're thinking. And we call those things negative thought forms or negative programs. We also have a video about that.
Right.
Right? And it becomes a negative. A negative thought form is something that you're thinking that's negative about yourself. Other people can think it about you as well, but it amplifies its effect when you're generating yourself. You're self-generated because
Right.
you are the one creating it, right? So that's the negative thought. So for example, if I say, "Oh, I can never do anything right," and I just keep saying that over and over, right? And then you tell me, as my wonderful wife, you said, loving, wonderful wife, said, "Honey, you really have to change that, you know? You always do great things that are very productive." I'm like, "No, I don't." I go like, "Well, I believe you, but I can't help myself," right? And I say
Right.
that. What thing's gonna happen? As much as you keep trying to convince me, what thing's gonna happen? Will I ever do anything right?
No, you'll continue to convince yourself and
Well-
stay that way.
Well, not just continue convincing myself, but then I'll have proof because every time I go do something, it doesn't work out.
Because that's how you convinced yourself.
Bingo. And then I'll tell you, see, there we go again. So how could you tell me that I can change this? I've tried and it's not working. I've tried really hard. Well, I haven't tried. The thing is I keep trying, right?
Right.
And I always say, take try out of your vocabulary.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Be determined, have the
Nike said,
intent, and
right?
do it.
Just do it. You have to. A command is what? A command doesn't go like this. Will you please try and do this? Have you ever heard a command like that?
No.
When a king gives a command, do they say, will you please try to pay your taxes today?
They just say, pay your taxes or go to jail.
Exactly.
That's it. It's
See, well, I don't want to just go to jail, but
okay,
it's like,
well, you
your
pay
taxes,
it.
right? And that's pretty much how a command goes. There is no try or there is no maybe. It's like, do this. And that's what you're supposed to do. Just do it. And when you do that, then the results start to come out. And all your frequency rises, first of all. So all these attachments and possessions that could be influencing you can't hang around. Because now your frequency is high because you're not trying anymore. You're doing. So, does that help? And again, we're talking about Tourette syndrome, but it could be any discomfort, any kind of pain, any illness, any disease, any type of imbalance with the physical body.
Right. I think that answers the question.
Okay?
All right. If you have any concerns or anything else that comes up as you watch this, let us know. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.